Welcome to a discussion on the 99 names of Allah. We are here with Ammar AlShukry.
Assalamu alaikum.
And yours truly, Bilal Khan.
All right. So
what were you going to say?
We're jumping into AlWalee. AlWalee. And AlWalee is translated generally as the protector. And it happens, or it comes a lot in the Quran. AlWalee and Al-Mawla, which is similar to AlWalee or from AlWalee. And the meaning of Al-Wali, or we already talked about the meaning, but it's mentioned in a number of ayat. Of them is وَهُوَ الْوَلِيُّ الْحَمِيدُ, that Allah Azza wa Jalla is Al-Wali and Allah Azza wa Jalla is Hamid. We're going to speak about Al-Hamid in another video. And وَقَوْلُهُ اللَّهُ وَلِيُّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, famous verse in Surah Al-Baqarah.
Is it similar to guardian?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very guardian, protector.
It's interesting because you're talking about how when in business relations,
okay,
when, like as a say if I'm doing marketing services for a client,
yeah,
right, I essentially when the mindset that they've always talked about is when you take on a client, you are the client's protector and guardian against all other stuff.
Okay, what do you mean by other stuff?
Like against other it could be the competitors, it could be other service providers that may not have their best interest in mind. It's just the idea that when you bring on a client, the client needs to feel like that you are their guardian.
Yeah, so makes sense. They want to feel protected. They want to feel like they don't have to chase after you, and that you basically, whatever it is, responsibility you've taken, you're taking care of it from A to Z.
Yeah. And
you are looking out for their interests just like it was yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very good. It's very good. Al-Mawla, you've probably heard of like Sahaba being called Mawla Fulan, Salim Mawla Abi Hudayfa. So what that meant is that there was.
I've always heard Maulana from the Desi culture.
Yeah, you hear Maulana also.
But that's like Molvi stuff.
Exactly. And in Arab culture, you have Maulana. People call Maulana. But when you go back to the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the Mawla is someone who, for example, you have a person who was not from a particular tribe, or he was not from Quraysh, or he didn't even have a tribe necessarily, but they took him in.
Okay, so they basically took him as a client.
Not as a client, but they took him in as a person who's like backed by this tribe. He's protected by this tribe. So they'll say this person is in care of. You know how you put it on like an envelope?
Okay. In
care of so-and-so?
Right,
like this person is in care of that person.
Okay.
So it would protect that person, and it would, protect them from being harmed or abused, because they knew that this person is backed by this tribe or backed by. So Allah Azza wa Jal is the protector of those who believe.
Kind of like the prison system, where you got like people when they there's different groups within the prison system. If they don't want to get picked on, essentially. Yeah. Even high school, right? High school got cliques. If you're not part of a clique, you're fresh meat.
Very good. Yeah.
So it's the same concept here in the tribal system?
To some extent, yeah. Okay. To some extent, yeah. Like they literally just take this person, or someone takes this person, and he just says this person is under my protection. Okay. Or it's understood that that person's protection, and that's it. They're not necessarily, it's not as tight as when a person is born into that tribe, but it's as close as you can get.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
are there anything like, what would that person that's under the protection of a certain tribe, what would they not have that somebody that was born into it has?
What would that person have?
What would they
so the way that I look at it, it's almost like citizenship versus permanent residence.
Okay.
Like you're a citizen, that's it. You can't get kicked out. Like they can't. It's unheard of, right? Yeah. You don't get
unless you commit like treason or something.
But if you're a permanent resident, the ties, the bonds are not as strong.
Okay.
Right? You commit a crime, you get deported. You travel overseas for a year. You get, you've given up your residence. What have you?
Yeah. Okay. So same concept.
Yeah. So it's not as strong. Okay. That's the way that I look at it. Allah A'lam.
Okay.
So Al-Wali. So Al-Wali is the person who's close, or the cousin, or someone who's responsible for you. And when they talk about the wilayah of Allah Azza wa Jal over humanity, they talk about it in two types. One is that Allah Azza wa Jal is the general guardian and protectorate of everybody. Right? So Allah Azza wa Jal looks after everybody, and Allah Azza wa Jal watches over everybody, and Allah Azza wa Jal protects everybody. Mm-hmm. And then at the same time, there's a specific wilayah which is for the believers. And this wilayah of Allah Azza wa Jal, the more a person ascends in their iman and in their taqwa and in their righteousness, the closer they are to Allah Azza wa Jal, the more Allah Azza wa Jal protects them and looks after them.
So what's the, like, how do you explain that?
Allah explains it in a hadith Qudsi. He says, "Man aada li waliyan faqad aadhantuhu bil harb." He says that whoever shows enmity to a wali of mine, I declare war on them.
Okay.
And
so this is where they talk about wali Allah and
exactly. Allah Azza wa Jal says, "My slave does not come closer to me than with anything more than what I've obligated." So that's the closest and greatest way to take leaps and bounds towards Allah Azza wa Jal, is to do what He obligates.
So, okay, so I guess this is a side tangent, but Waliullah al-Dahlawi, that's his name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not a title.
No.
Okay.
To my knowledge, I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't really read his bio that much. Shah Waliullah al-Dahlawi.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. It could be a title. He's from your culture, man. You should know these things.
He's from Deobandi culture, and he only came into my attention only recently because apparently he also did a commentary of Imam Malik's Muwatta.
I see. Yeah, I don't know if that's his title or not, but there I wouldn't be surprised if it's not his actual name.
Okay.
Also, there's in traditions you'll find that they will have multiple titles. So, for example, there was a period of time in medieval Islam where they would all have like a combined name.
Okay.
Like Sharafuddin or Muhyiddin or these types of names.
That's actually a very Desi thing.
But it wouldn't be his actual name. That was like, or it's almost like a.
Like I remember when I went to India,
name.
my uncle would keep calling me Bilaluddin.
Oh, okay.
It's like I don't know.
Doesn't
if that makes,
even make sense.
I know,
no,
right? It doesn't even make sense.
Okay. Maybe he was just giving you like a nickname, or he was just playing around with your name.
Maybe.
So Allah Azza wa Jal, He says that whoever comes close to me with what I've obligated, right, that is the closest thing, and then they will continue to come close to me with voluntary actions until I love them. And then once I love them, then I become the seeing with which they see, and the hearing with which they hear, and the hand with which they strike, and the feet with which they walk.
This is a hadith Qudsi.
Yeah, it's hadith Qudsi. And so the Prophet ﷺ, so the point here is that you can actually earn closeness and proximity and protection from Allah Azza wa Jal. The more you have taqwa and the more you do these things, the closer that you become.
So basically iman and taqwa based.
Of course, very much. Very much so.
And it's unmeasurable.
Unmeasurable in what sense?
Like how do you measure iman and taqwa? It's said that it goes up and down.
You never know, right? You never know if this person is actually a wali of Allah Azza wa Jal or anything like that.
No, but what about oneself?
How do you measure your own taqwa?
Through action?
Of course.
Okay.
You measure it through your actions. You measure it through your staying away from His prohibitions. You measure it through these things. Am I somebody who you monitor your heart? Am I someone who wakes up for Fajr on time? Am I someone who the things that Allah has obligated on me?
The basic stuff, are you covering them?
Yeah.
And beyond that?
Am I wherever I feel or I know Allah loves me to be?
Okay.
Sometimes we were just having a discussion about this yesterday, is sometimes you get deluded into thinking that what you are doing is what's most pleasing to Allah Azza wa Jal, even though really if you were to rationalize it, you know that there's something that you could be doing that is more pleasing to Him in that moment, but it's not as fun for you.
Right.
And we were talking to some kids in college yesterday, and so I gave them the example of attending a lecture somewhere where all your friends are going to be, right? And it's like a celebrity sheikh or something like that, as opposed to entertaining your guests at home with your parents. Now, for one, it's much more fun, but we all know that being there for your parents, especially, you know, if the situation requires it, say, for example, it's friends who they haven't seen in 10 years or something like that, where...
And you know that the discussion is going to be all about foreign politics and
whatever. You know that your presence there is going to make your family, your parents in particular, incredibly happy, or your presence is incredibly needed. Sometimes people will be like, no, well, you know, Sheikh so-and-so is here, I must gain his knowledge or her knowledge, right? I have to, this is a once in a lifetime. Uwais al-Qarni missed out on being a companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like there's no event that you can miss that is a bigger event than the messengership of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He didn't make the trip from Yemen to Medina because of his mother.
But what did Rasulullah say about that?
The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if you meet him, ask him to make dua for you. And he's considered to be the best of it.
Ask him to make dua for you. Okay.
And so Umar would, every time a caravan would come from Yemen, he would ask, Afikum Uwais, is Uwais there? Is Uwais amongst you? Like the Prophet ﷺ, even though he was absent, he never met the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet knew of his presence.
Okay, but he was Muslim.
Yeah, he was Muslim.
Okay,
but he never became a Sahabi. He never went to go meet the Prophet ﷺ.
This brings the question: how many people existed at the time of Rasulullah ﷺ, embraced Islam during his time, but never met him?
They're called mukhadrameen in the science of hadith. Yeah.
Okay.
They're called mukhadrameen, which basically means this is a particular title for these people.
Okay.
People who were alive.
What does that mean?
If you look at their actual biology or their birth dates, you'd be like, oh, this person's a companion. Right. And so the scholars then they sit there and they dig and they look and they say, wait, is this person, did he actually ever meet the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Was he ever actually in the vicinity of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
Yeah.
And then they go, no. Okay, so this person, but as far as their
status,
their dates and times, you would think that they were a companion.
Okay.
Right. But they never met Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Okay.
So then you come to,
what's the mukhadrameen mean?
I have no idea.
Okay. You're saying?
So then we come to Abu Sufyan radiallahu anhu يوم أحد لنا العزة ولا عزة لكم إن تحصيل الولاية أمر كسبي يحاول الإنسان. Okay, so then we
hey, cool, you can write on your PDFs.
Yes, I can.
Fantastic.
So we end here with AlWalee inshallah ta'ala. And
so action item. I guess, I mean, we could just go back to the whole monitoring your iman and taqwa.
Monitoring your iman and taqwa. And
are there specific ayat you can think of that help?
Just really doing what the Prophet ﷺ narrated to us from Allah Azza wa Jal.
Okay.
That the Prophet ﷺ, he says that Allah said, keep coming closer to him through righteous deeds, specifically the things that Allah Azza wa Jal obligated, and having taqwa of Allah Azza wa Jal, because Allah Azza wa Jal specifically says that he is the wali of the muttaqeen. The more taqwa Allah Azza wa Jal I have, the more wilaya I get from Allah. Inna awliya'uhu illa al-muttaqun. Allah says that his awliya are the people of taqwa.
I wonder how many ayat, or has somebody compiled, or is there a work available which takes all of the ayat and hadith that describe the muttaqeen? Like, for example, you have the first 5 of Surah Al-Baqarah. You have Ayatul Bir.
You know what's funny is that I was doing research last Ramadan on taqwa, and I didn't really find that many books that were completely devoted to the concept of taqwa, which is very interesting because taqwa is the most
such
important.
a core concept.
Yeah, it's the most, you could argue that it is the most important concept after Tawheed. It's the taqwa of Allah Azza wa Jalla, and it's the thing that Allah calls to the most in the Quran. When with regards to the things that Allah addresses to humanity, the thing that He addresses humanity the most, Ya ayyuhan nas, Ya bani Adam, all of that, is to have taqwa of Allah Azza wa Jalla. But I as far as I know, maybe one of the viewers has some access to some books and things.
Hey guys, seriously, if you have something, do let us know in the comments below. Yeah,
very much so, because as far as like independent works on this topic, I haven't come across anything nearly as satisfying, especially when it comes to practical steps to increase it, because that's a concern that we all have, but Allah knows best. All right.